Hello, welcome back to Snugglewood, young Dreamlynx. My name is Arin. Snuggle down into your coziest quilt and let tonight's calming tale and soothing sounds relieve you of any worries and guide you towards a deep, restful night's sleep under these beautiful stars above. And so our story begins in a place called Dolphin Bay and the sleepy giant tale of Sea Turtle Watcherus. The ocean roared softly in the distance, its rhythmic pulse carrying whispers of ancient stories. Beneath the vast expanse of the star-speckled sky, the world felt epic, yet comforting, as if the entire universe slowed its breath with the tides. Deep below the surface, far from prying eyes, lay the realm of the Sea Turtle Watcherus, a serene, timeless stretch of underwater meadows, gliding currents, and endless mysteries. Here, the turtles drifted among the wavering seagrass, their ancient shells bearing the marks of countless journeys. Their movements were unhurried, every purposeful glide a testament to an existence untouched by the rush of time. Each turtle seemed connected to the pulse of the ocean, tethered to its rhythm in a harmony only they could fully understand. Watcherus, though unseen, was present in every still moment, observing the silent interactions and perpetual flow of this underwater harmony. Tiny sparkling fish navigated nimbly between the blades, their movements synchronizing with currents that wound like invisible threads through the salty abyss. Shadows played across the sandy floor, cast by passing rays that soared gracefully above, their wide wings illuminated by fragments of sunlight cascading from the surface. Among this tranquil world, the sea turtles moved as living relics, their shells scrawled with patterns unique as fingerprints. Each turn of a flipper carried them closer to the dreams of Watcherus, who bore witness to their journeys. One ancient turtle, the largest of them all, carried an aura of solemn grandeur. It had no name, yet it bore the wisdom of decades beneath its ridged shell. The others followed its lead as if drawn to the magnetic pull of its presence. Occasionally, a slow surge of forgotten energy would weave through the waters, nudging the turtles to begin their timeless trek. These migrations, silent but communal, stretched far and led across realms both known and forgotten. One could imagine Watcherus keeping silent vigil over the hushed trails being charted by their steady movements. The wide blue stretched infinitely before the turtles, yet they traversed it unconcerned by the expanses they crossed. There was an ineffable serenity to their kingdom, a dreamlike quality that resonated in waves moving through the layers of water. Woven into their existence were secrets of journeys past, recalled only within sensation and instinct. Time lost coherence here, flowing like the water, merging past, present, and what was yet to come into one seamless stream. Occasionally, currents would draw the turtles closer to the sunken coral gardens, their worn exoskeletons cradling entire ecosystems. Vibrant hues flourished in the crevices, colours woven together like an underwater quilt of life, dancing in the ocean's continual ballet. The turtles' passing felt sacred, their every movement deliberate yet filled with peaceful detachment. From the tiniest anemones to the schools of darting fish, each inhabitant seemed to pause, as if to acknowledge the silent majesty of the procession. Higher up, where sunlight kissed the water's surface, stillness turned into sparkling motion. Seaweed swayed, creating intricate patterns, while bubbles surfaced slowly, breaking at last into the open air. Within the layers of the ocean, Watcherus remained a hidden presence, watching not out of curiosity, but out of deep connectedness to all that stirred below. The harmony of this quiet world remained untouched. The sea turtles floated past forgotten shipwrecks and vast underwater canyons whose depths few might dare to explore. Their paths may have seemed meandering, yet there was an unmistakable sense of destination in their every move. With soft undulations of their flippers, they surrendered to the pull of the tides, traversing yet another chapter in Watcherus's endless story. Time stretched endlessly, like the infinite lines of the horizon. Nothing hurried under the watchful gaze of Watcherus. Nothing disrupted the unspoken song of the turtles. Here, dreams and the waking world were inseparable, interwoven into myriad currents. And here, where the light eventually faded into the shadowed stillness of the ocean's depths, the turtles carried with them the memories of this tranquil realm. The sea turtles moved with deliberate elegance, their great flippers carving through the water in silent strokes. Around them, the ocean brimmed with life, light and unhurried. Watcherus observed it all, a timeless sentinel blending into the fabric of the underwater currents. The tales of Watcherus and the turtles weren't written in ink or bound by books, but rather etched into the shifting sands of the seabed, whispered into the currents that carried secrets across vast distances. Every movement, every ripple, was part of an eternal saga where time bent to the rhythms of the ocean. The turtles swam beneath this golden canopy, their shells glinting softly with trails of ancient wisdom. Each of them bore stories older than the cliffs eroded beneath crashing waves, tales collected from centuries of wandering through uncharted waters. Every rock they passed and every trench they crossed held memories of migrations guided by starlight, of storms braved, and of the bond they shared with Watcherus, guardian of the deep. The ocean remained still yet alive, alive with the echoes of movement and murmurings of distant creatures gliding in and out of sight at the edges of the darkened waters. Schools of fish shimmered like liquid mirrors, undulating in unison as they moved around coral pillars that had stood undisturbed for millennia. Occasionally, a curious octopus emerged from its hidden burrow, darting with fleeting curiosity before vanishing into a cloud of ink and mystery. Amid this ceaseless interplay, a young sea turtle veered slightly away from the group. He tilted his head as if listening to something unheard by the others. The softest vibration pulsed through the water. Was it a sound, a whisper on the edge of perception? Watcherus shifted, subtly, invisibly, as if leaning closer to listen. The other turtles continued their languid march forward, but the young one hesitated. Drawn by an inexplicable pull, he drifted toward a stretch of darker water where the light could not follow. It was a place told of in fragments among currents, a place where the past and present mingled, where the ocean's mysteries deepened immeasurably. The young turtle approached slowly, his every move cautious as shadows thickened around him. The water grew colder. The once muted hum of life silenced entirely. Here, only the solemn watchfulness of the deep reigned. Watcherus, with its ancient, imperceptible presence, remained nearby. The great observer showed neither fear nor approval. Its role never to command, but to simply witness, to ensure the broken dance of life continued. A cavern appeared below, draped in luminescent veils of algae and soft glows from crystals embedded in the rock. It pulsed with a light that flickered like fireflies on a summer evening. The young turtle descended cautiously, tiny currents spinning in his wake as he entered this forgotten space. Inside, the water seemed heavier, time slower, as though the outside world had been left behind entirely. The cavern walls bore etchings, not of human hands, but of the ocean's touch. Each groove, each mark, carried the story of events unknown to even watchers. Here, the ocean had preserved fleeting moments of chaos and tranquility, storm and stillness, creation and loss. The turtle swam deeper into the cavern, his form illuminated in ghostly blue-green hues. He found himself amid a vast underwater hall where the ceiling soared high, filled with a quiet grandeur that felt alive, sentient. At the very center was a pool darker than anything the young turtle had seen. No light touched its surface. Instead, it seemed to consume the muted light glimmers from the cavern walls, a void in the heart of the ocean. The pull he had felt earlier intensified, the vibrations growing rhythmic. They were not random. They were voices of the old, melodies of creatures long gone, yet still present in the immortal memory of the sea. A sudden ripple shifted the surface of the dark pool, tiny rings radiating out in perfect circles. Without realizing it, the young turtle had inched closer. He felt no fear, only a deepening curiosity, a trembling sense of purpose, as though he had been invited here for a reason yet to be unveiled. Watcherus, still silent, yet all-encompassing, observed from afar, sensing the unfolding of something critical, something destined. A low, resonant tone emerged from the pool, swelling and softening like the steady beat of a drum, felt rather than heard. The turtle's eyes widened, his heartbeat aligning with the sound. He moved closer, and as he did, the pool began to listen with pride. darkness no longer seemed void-like, but alive, swirling with fragmented visions too fleeting to grasp. Were these images, memories, dreams? The turtle could not tell, for they slipped away before he could make sense of them. Then, from the pool, a single bubble rose to the surface. It floated upward, delicate and glistening, carrying with it a fragment of light that had been hidden in the depths. The turtle leaned forward as the bubble burst, releasing a beautiful glow that spread throughout the cavern. With it came a voice, not spoken, not heard, but felt in the gentle currents around him. "You are here, little one, because the ocean remembers." The voice carried a warmth that belied the cold depths. It spoke of connections bound by waves and wind, of migrations charted through the stars, of an unbroken thread tying all life together beneath the watchful eyes of Watcherus. The turtle did not understand every word, but he felt the weight of them. He felt their purpose. The glow began to fade, and the cavern returned to shadow and silence. But something had shifted. The young turtle turned, his hesitation replaced with quiet determination. He swam upward through the cavern's entrance and back into the open ocean. Watcherus still lingered, its presence calm yet subtly alive with approval. The other turtles acknowledged the young one's return with barely perceptible nods, their movements in sync once more, as though they had never paused. And so, the turtles continued their ancient path, a slow procession across the endless expanse. Now, though, the young one carried something with him, a fragment of light, a new thread in the tapestry of the ocean's tale. Watcherus observed, knowing that the story was far from over. It never would be, for as long as the tides continued to rise and fall, as long as the sea turtles glided through the great blue depths, the story of the ocean and all its creatures would go on, as infinite as the horizon. The tides rolled into gentle waves, filling the air with a soothing rhythm. Watcherus turned his gaze towards the ocean, where the sun began its slow descent on the horizon, painting the ocean in hues of orange, pink, and gold. The young turtle carried the fragment of light carefully, its luminous glow pulsing softly against his shell, as if alive. He felt its warmth, its presence, like a quiet whisper telling him he was part of something greater. Though he did not understand its full meaning yet, he knew it was important, meant for more than just him. Ahead, the sea darkened as the depth increased, the ocean floor vanishing into shadowy obscurity. The young one hesitated. The comfort of the shallow waters, with their dancing sunlit ripples, an abundance of familiar creatures, made leaving feel daunting. Still, something deep inside him urged him forward. Watcherus watched from above, silent and steady, a sentinel of the seas who had guided countless generations before this one. The ancient protector of the tides understood the young turtle's unease, but also knew the necessity of this journey. Growth, after all, often begins in the unknown. The ocean exhaled softly with a breeze, and the young sea turtle took his first bold thrust into the deeper waters. Around him, the blue darkened further, growing colder and quieter. The schools of vibrant fish and playful dolphins faded into the background. Yet, the fragment of light on his shell kept glowing, casting a gentle circle of illumination. Within its glow, tiny plankton sparkled like the stars above, a reminder of the vast connection between the sea and the sky. The young turtle swam for what felt like hours, propelled by determination and something he couldn't quite name, a pull toward a destination he could not see. Then, through the dim haze, shapes began to emerge. They were massive and ancient, their forms swaying gently with the currents. They looked like stone, worn and weathered, but alive. They were the sleeping giants, stunning coral, covered and resting beneath the waves for centuries beyond counting. Their presence filled the water with a quiet essence, a deep vibration that resonated in the young turtle's chest. One of the giants stirred, its massive eye, framed by a lattice of corals and barnacles, opened slowly. It gazed at the young one with an expression that seemed to bridge eons. "You carry the light," it rumbled, its voice like the shifting of tectonic plates. "Why have you come to the realm of the sleepers?" The young turtle hesitated, unsure of what to say. He wasn't sure why he had come. He only knew he was meant to. The fragment of light glowed brighter, as though answering for him. The giant observed this silently before speaking again. "The light you carry is not just yours. It is a piece of something far older and more powerful. A piece of the unity flame, born from the heart of the ocean. It has found you for a reason." The young one looked down at the glowing fragment on his back, now slightly brighter, as if responding to the giant's words. A flood of questions swirled in his mind, but the most pressing rose to the surface. "What must I do with it?" "That," the giant rumbled, "is for you to discover. The unity flame has chosen you as its keeper, but its purpose will reveal itself in time. For now, you must continue onward. There are others you must meet, others who will guide you further. Seek the song winds where the currents converge." With that, the giant closed its eye, returning to its slumber. The vibrations of its voice still hummed in the young turtle's chest as he continued on his way. Watcherus, from the currents above, followed silently, his presence as steady as the stars that began to glitter in the sky above the surface. The waters began to shift around the young turtle, the gentle flow of the currents changing to something more lively. He realized he was approaching a convergence, a place where the ocean currents intertwined in a dance of power and grace. Streams of warm and cold water merged here, creating an underwater symphony of movement and sound. This was the place the giant had spoken of, the home of the song winds. As he ventured closer, he began to hear it, a melody carried by the currents, It was soft at first, almost imperceptible, but as he swam deeper into the convergence, the sound grew. It wasn't like any song he had heard before. It was not the chatter of the dolphins or the calls of seabirds. It was older, resonating with the rhythms of the ocean, a song of creation and connection. The song winds were not creatures, but forces, invisible yet alive. The melody they wove infused with water, touching everything it passed. The young turtle felt the fragment of light on his shell respond, its glow pulsing in time with the rhythm of the song. For a moment, he was overcome by the beauty of it, the sense of belonging it invoked. He realized that the melody wasn't just around him. It was within him too, part of the ocean's endless tale. Through the song winds, he began to understand more. The light he carried was not merely a gift, but a responsibility. It was a connection between all living things, a reminder of the balance that held the ocean in harmony. He felt a surge of purpose, a sense that he was part of something far larger than himself. But as the song reached a crescendo, a shadow passed overhead. The young turtle looked up to see the hulking form of an orca, its sleek body cutting through the currents with ease. Their presence sent a ripple through the song winds, the melody faltering for a brief moment before recovering its steady rhythm. The orca circled once more, its eyes locking onto the young turtle. But then the fragment of light flared brightly, sending out a pulse of warmth that rippled through the water. The orca hesitated, its movements slowing. It seemed confused, almost disarmed, before it turned and swam away into the depths. The young turtle watched it go with a mixture of relief and awe. It was then he realized the power of light was not just to guide or illuminate. It was to protect, to maintain balance, even in the face of shadows. The song winds picked up pace again, their melody wrapping around him like a comforting embrace. He knew his journey was far from over, but he felt stronger, braver. The unity within the ocean and its creatures was something he now carried with him. A bond forged by the fragment of light, the song of the waters, and the ancient wisdom of the sleeping giants. Watcherus, still silent but watchful, followed above, a guardian for the turtle's continuing tale. And so, the young turtle swam onward, deeper into the boundless blue, the fragment of light glowing steadily as he carried the ocean's story forward. With the huge ocean stretching endlessly around him, the young turtle felt a quiet sense of purpose. The fragment of light was now a part of him, a reminder of the courage and unity that dwelled within the depths. As he swam further into the mysterious expanse, the waves hummed a soothing lullaby, carrying him gently on his way. It was not an end, but a beginning, a peaceful continuation of his journey. A calm reassurance that the ocean would always guide and protect him. no matter how far he travelled. And with that thought, the ocean cradled him in its embrace, a timeless keeper of dreams.